Right? Suns and rising moons, fellow droids. Welcome to Not the Droids podcast. I'm Danny.
And I'm Mayuri, and today we will continue our foray into the Clone Wars with season 1, episodes 11, 12, and 13. So the titles of these are Dooku Captured, The Gungan General, and Jedi Crash. Honestly, I laugh so hard because I'm like, at what point did they get sick of titling these episodes? Because I feel like we've gotten there. But when did these air?
So these air, there's actually a little bit of a break because
Ooh.
not much, because it's like the last episode was December 12th, and then we jumped to January 2nd, January 9th, and January 16th of 2009.
Ah, winter break.
Winter break. And then Dooku captured and the Gungan general were written by the same person. So
I mean, that's great for like continuity because it was the same
yeah,
storyline.
because I honestly I looked up and I was like, when did it switch to the next episode?
Yeah, I gotta be real with you. Those two were not my favorite. It really was not my favorite. I was saying my roommate laughed because I definitely fell asleep in the second part, in the second half of the second episode. And then after, I had to go back and see what I missed.
Was that the
Um,
Gungan episode? Is that why
of
you fell
course it
asleep?
was. Of course it was. I cannot stand Jar Jar Binks. And there's just so much of him in that second episode. Ugh,
Do you know who else is in that second episode?
no.
Hondo and Naka.
Oh, yeah. Hondo,
And if you have been on Smuggler's Run,
which I have.
the pre-show is Hondo. He's telling you, he's sending you out to collect your,
Ooh, I didn't pay attention that much in
yes.
Smuggler's Run. I've only
So
done it that one time that we did it.
we will do it again, especially because there's an update coming to it. But Hondo is the character that kind of tells you what your mission is to go smuggle
I
things.
will say that like race of people seemed very familiar. And I wonder if that's why. So, it also probably had to do with a little bit of annoyance on my part. So usually I feel like Star Wars characters and people tend to have more of a like unique perspective.
Hmm.
The music is a little bit more exotic, like weird, and not in a recognizable language.
Yeah.
I don't know if you clocked this, and you might not have, but in the bar where those people were just like hanging out, the music that was playing was actual Hindi music. Like the language was Hindi.
I didn't clock that, but I like clocked. I was like, this isn't Cantina because I when they're in like a bar in Star Wars,
No.
I expect Star Wars Cantina music. But like that's what I expect or
Or
something
some
along those
variation
realms.
of that. I
Yes.
assumed that's the music of Star Wars. So when I was watching, I was like, they're not even trying. This is definitely Hindi, and it's in the style of Hindi music. It was probably just a Hindi song that they took and used for the show.
And most likely the
Actually, I'm gonna look
reasoning
it up.
being is that because it is a cartoon that's running every week, whereas the movies and now with the shows, they do put effort into the music. But when this came out, I don't think they were putting all the effort to build out the universe as much. And they're like, oh, it's just a cartoon. We don't need to do the composers and all this.
It is Indian languages, so it looks like they've kind of taken Hindi and use the style of music to compose an like a new track. I'll look into it, but
Mhm.
I was like that's interesting because I also don't know Hindi, so I couldn't
Yeah.
translate it.
And
But I
now I'm like
feel
thinking is like, do we have Cantina music yet in the timeline we have watched?
no. Oh, here it is. So it's like during someone asks the question about Dooku captured. Um, It's one of the composers. So it's called Indian Pop Source. Um, it is in the style of Hindi music. So I don't know what it is. I just like clocked it and I was like annoyed. I was annoyed because I was just like, what a weird thing. We've never heard this in any of Star
No, like I
Wars.
clocked that it wasn't Cantina music.
And so that's why. So the things that I did notice, because the first episode I was like trying to get into, I think this is the first set of episodes for Clone Wars that I was kind of like really meh on. The
Hmm.
Dooku ones just seemed Dooku captured, him being captured just seemed so unreasonable. Like that a Sith Lord let a bunch of pirates capture him.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, but that there were some good zingers in that episode. So my favorite was the Anakin and Obi-Wan banter. Um, and they were arguing, and when Obi-Wan came to like rescue Anakin, Anakin's like, if I was a master, blah 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 blah. And Obi-Wan was like, you're a master
Of
at
getting
getting
caught.
caught. And
Yeah.
I was like, oof.
Before that, I really appreciated the "You're not the prisoner I'm looking for."
And then he just backs up and shuts the door. He's like, nope, sorry, guys.
So that was a nice little like throwback.
Yeah. Uh, there was also like a couple of things that I made comments on. So, like, when he was running away, like they crash landed on this planet, and they're like, Dooku is trying to hide from the Jedi till he gets rescued. And it's really funny because they went into the mines, and I was like,
Mhm.
guys, it's Mithril. Like the you can't tell me that the way that the walls were shining didn't like remind you of Mithril. And then I was like, LOL, the weird monster is the Balrog. Um, but
I
it reminded me of the no the cartoon Young Jedi. I was like, what about the sloth, the gem sloths? I forgot what they were called.
yeah.
But it kind of reminded me of them, and I was like, I hope they still exist at this point in the timeline.
Yeah. Or
But
have they
yeah.
been pirated all our minds?
And also, like, if there's clearly mines that have like sparkly things, why are there no race of people on this planet mining it
Yeah.
yet?
Uh, and then we have my favorite, Ahsoka, coming in with the voice of reason again.
I love Ahsoka in these. I will say she was a nice her personality suits like rescuing Anakin all the time and being the voice of reason and having like mom energy
Yeah, she's
when it
just
comes.
like, and
They were
you got
like
away, and there's a monster behind you.
like you were just gonna free yourself. Are you sure?
You
Um,
know how this turns out, right?
I will say one of the things I appreciated about the pirates is that they actually used UFOs ships. And I watched that UFO come onto screen and I was like, shut up. They actually like used a UFO style ship on Star Wars. That was funny. I did it. That was amusing. And then it just got when they got captured is when it got boring. The only part that seemed even semi interesting was when they started to torture Anakin and Obi-Wan, but like the whole Dooku, like,
The trio
okay,
capturing like I was just like,
it was stupid. Sorry to whoever wrote that. It was just like not interesting and not believable, right? Like I know they knew each other from before, right? Like canonically, they knew each
yeah.
other. But like also as the episode goes on, like was it me or did like Dooku get like paler and more intense looking as time went on? And I was just kind of like, none of this makes sense because if you are the Sith, like even though there were so many pirates, like Also, isn't Dooku
We also
smart
like
enough?
saw his like electric power.
I thought that was a Palpatine power. I didn't know that was meant to be like for all Sith.
I think that's like an ultimate power Sith move, not like a every ordinary Sith move. But I'm like, if you have that power, how did you get caught by a bunch of pirates?
Exactly. And also, aren't you smart enough to not give away who you are to a bunch of people that could kidnap
Nah,
you?
you're straight up like, I'm Sith, man. I'm that cool.
But then he didn't do anything to back it up.
No. And he got his lightsaber taken.
Yes, that was so lame. Not just his and Anakin's, both
Like,
lightsabers.
dude, how have you survived this long?
It was just like such a stupid,
And yeah, I didn't love.
it was such an unbelievable storyline, especially when they thought they were going into a trap. So I was just very much like, so was every drink drugged? I don't understand because they swapped the drinks and they
We saw
only
the
had a,
two go swap over.
but not everybody else. And it wasn't in the bottle because we saw the waitress do it specific. It was just like a continuity error
Yeah.
situation. I just like didn't like it. And then like every time they tried to escape, I was like, this is not interesting. And
Mm-mm.
also like they captured Dooku the last time, and then they went to go torture Anakin and Obi-Wan, and Dooku just sat there. And then at the end, when the power went out, he literally just like opened the door with his powers. And I was like, I thought the whole point of the shackles,
Was that you couldn't do this.
it was that's why I was having a hard time. And then you introduced Jar Jar Binks to the storyline.
When they had like go on screen and they're like, we're gonna send Jar Jar, I was like, oh, this is not going well.
Representative Binks and Senator, I don't even remember his name because we just met him and then he died 5 minutes later.
Yet Jar Jar
Uh,
lives.
and they talk about this like, oh, no harm, no foul. I was like, a senator died. You're not gonna go after. They literally killed a senator
Yeah.
whose harness, maybe in my opinion, was not strapped properly because he unstrapped it so that he could strap in. Guess who? Jar Jar Binks. Oh, that's why I was like, every time I'm so over Jar Jar Binks is like so clumsy. I'm gonna get on board with he's a Sith because he's so foolish. Foolish. I
He like
can't.
accidentally ended up in the Sith cult. Like he didn't know what was happening, and that's how
He's
he became a Sith. It's like it was purely accident, and he thought it was what was going
like, I
on.
know Annie. I know Annie. Annie. I can't. Help me. I'm
And then
sorry. I will never get over it.
it's
And
okay.
that's why I fell asleep. I had to go back and watch it, and he was the hero. And I was like, stupid. This whole thing is stupid. And then the next set, I will say, because I did fall asleep for it went into the new episode. I had to go back and watch it. The battle was cool. It was nice to see them actually fighting because I
Mhm.
feel like we don't actually see the main conflict of the Corn Wars a lot. We see these individual pockets of things where you don't actually see them fighting.
Yeah.
But I didn't like this
Um,
episode either.
Yeah, no, this we get a new perspective in this episode of that they are searching for peace and the Jedi are not safe.
They're
And
not
so
safe.
and that they don't want to be pulled into this war that is not theirs.
Well, I mean, I will say it was nice to see that kind of rhetoric on the show
Yeah.
because it's very much like to enforce the peace, you are becoming the thing you're protecting us from. Like
Yeah.
you cannot be a peacekeeper without using force. Um and I was like, oh, because like it reminds me of Farscape. Like the peacekeepers in there are literally like keeping the peace by enforcing it
Hmm.
and not just inspiring peace.
Yeah.
And so it's like they relocated to that planet was also important to hear to avoid the fighting.
Yeah.
Um,
The
I don't
whole
know.
Anakin getting captured, Anakin almost dying, or
He didn't get captured. He almost died. The Quetzalcoatl beefy bird
I'm
things.
like, my guy, you want to be a master? This is not the way.
Also, like it was the way because he sacrificed himself. That's why he got hurt.
Yes, it just.
I was also too distracted by what's her face's French accent. I was like, we're not even trying to act like this is the Star Wars universe. It's just French and Hindi. I was just so annoyed with these episodes. I don't know if it was just like the thought of having to watch Jar Jar Binks got me irritated
I think that set
because
you up, and then you were just done.
I was like so done. I was like, why do we have to have, why couldn't Padme come and save them?
You know, I appreciate an Ahsoka thing.
The last episode was very much about Ahsoka, which was
Yes.
nice.
And her growing as a Padawan. Um, but
I couldn't
yeah,
get it. I couldn't get over the beefy Quetzalcoatls, is what I was calling them. Okay.
but these episodes are not like remarkable to me. They're not gonna
No.
like stick out as, ooh, these were really great.
Did you catch at all the lessons at the beginning?
I caught the first one. Um, the winding path to peace is always a worthy one, regardless of how many turns it takes.
So I think this like message that the Jedi are not actually peacekeepers is gonna get hammered home. I'm excited about the next set of episodes just by looking at the titles because I think this idea that like the Jedi think they're protecting the galaxy, they're really just trying to maintain power. And
Yeah.
maybe individual Jedis don't think that, but the Jedi Council definitely are.
So our next episodes are S- Clone Wars Season 1, episodes 14, 15, 17, 18, because we have already watched 16.
Yes.
And they are titled Defenders of Peace, Trespass, Blue Shadow Virus, and Mystery of a Thousand Moons.
I'm hoping that we get like a little bit more. I do enjoy the context of the galaxy, like people we haven't met before, people who don't want to be in the conflict, like rebel pirates and stuff like that. I
Hmm.
do enjoy it. I just feel like these pirates were annoying
Yeah,
too. And I think that's part of the problem. It's just like the premise was not my favorite. We didn't learn anything about Dooku here.
yeah.
Like, why
Like,
did we have Dooku for so much time and not get anything?
yeah, that didn't move the Dooku's storyline forward. With the pirates, for me, I just had Hondo and Naka in my head because of the smugglers, and I just rode smugglers last week, so it's just like in my head, and I'm like, oh yeah, hey, it's him.
I assume he's going to come back.
Yes, he's comes back, and there was rumor, possible confirmation that we may get him in a live action thing coming up. So we shall see,
We shall
but
see. But I
yeah,
still
we're
am
we're
not.
almost done with season one.
Yeah. Thank God.
There's a total of 7 episodes left in season one.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to watch four of them. I am excited
Mhm.
for the last three because I think they're like the
They're a
penultimate, like,
trio. They're also a
yeah.
trio. So let's.
So I think I kind of like that, but I'm hoping that they're not as like slow.
I'm hoping not. Let's see. Just glancing through my little.
Well, because okay, so I will say one of the things that did annoy me is that Gungan General, I would want to see like growth in Jar Jar or anything, but like he was in charge, but like he didn't change his behaviors. He didn't learn anything. He did not change. his like perspective.
Hmm.
It was still like the fumbly, like whatever.
Yeah. So, curious thing that I'm just noticing. There are 22 episodes in season one, but we
There's
watched up to
only
21. Episode 22, we do not actually watch for quite some time, and it's actually put in
oh.
between season three episodes.
So like what was the theory behind making these episodes? Did they just like
Mm.
make episodes they felt like doing in the Clone Wars? Like, I'm thinking about having to watch these in release order, and like season one is mostly in chronological, except for season episode 16 and episode 22. So, like, how annoying is that?
Yeah, because I'm like, when we get to season two, we go like 1, 2, 3, 17, 18,
17, 18,
19,
19,
jump
four,
back in,
all the way. And then we get to
go from
episode
14 to
14.
20, 21, and then start season three at episode 5.
But that's
Like,
why I'm like, what was
it's,
the, like,
it's
in the pitch
chaos.
meeting? In the pitch meeting, like, why did I like would be so curious to find out why they did this way?
And it looks like, and I don't know if it's just because they weren't sure if it was going to take, because then when we get like into season three at the end and season four, it becomes very steady. So I'm wondering if they're like, let's just throw out some stories, see if this is a series that people like, and then when it started getting picked up, they're like, oh, we need to start like having a timeline here because for the most part, there's still like some jumping. But for the most part, it starts to fall in line through the rest of the series.
Okay, so someone asked this question on Quora, and a few people answered. And they said originally the show was conceived as an anthology series. Ahsoka, Anakin, and Obi-Wan were not intended to be the main protagonists. They were just main protagonists of the first few episodes. After that, the series was supposed to be free to focus on whatever characters they wanted during whatever part of the Clone Wars they wanted. However, for some reason, they ended up focusing on Ahsoka, Anakin, and Obi-Wan, which is mostly chronologically, and then every now and then there's a random story. Sorry, I'm still just reading some of
No, that's
these to
okay.
see. But that's essentially, it feels like they started Clone Wars with one intention,
Hmm.
and then maybe when they were reviewing them,
Well, it's either reviewing or like people really were showing interest in it. They're like, no, this is working. So we need
I
to
wonder,
keep.
well, because Ahsoka didn't exist until Clone Wars,
Yeah.
right? So
Dave Filoni created Ahsoka for Clone Wars.
I wonder if like the response to Ahsoka was so good that they started following her, Anakin, and Obi-Wan more than they intended.
Okay. So Ahsoka Tano is a fictional character. She was introduced as the 14-year-old Jedi Padawan. Was created by George Lucas and Dave Filoni. The character was developed to illustrate how Anakin Skywalker develops from the brash, undisciplined Padawan apprentice in Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, to the more reserved Jedi Knight. Lucas, who had two daughters, also wanted the character to appeal to girls. So that's kind of where she came from.
Yeah.
But it was, so I guess, and that makes sense, is like you need to kind of figure out a way to go from
The one
young
movie to the other. Yeah.
Anakin to more trained Anakin.
Oh, so here's some other things like logistically. It says like episodes were often produced and animated out of sequence due to the complexity of the animation. So it meant the original broadcast order was not chronological based off of what was
Based
done.
on what work was done in
And
time.
then they said the network sometimes rearranged the order to maximize viewership, create artificial cliffhangers, or simply to fill a slot.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right.
Mm. Okay, that makes sense.
I, I,
It's
I can
just
I can get that. It's just it's a lot when you're trying to watch it all in chronological order.
Yeah, I think someone also said the first two seasons are very different than the last season
Uh,
because they intended it to start as an anthology and then they realized what they wanted to do, like as they were doing it, I
and
think.
yeah, and that tracks. So right now we are going through season one, and then we'll get through about halfway through season two, where we will end at the Mandalore plot, and then we will switch to The Mandalorian in preparation for the movie's release on May 22nd of 2026, which also coincides with the changing of Smuggler's Run to the
They're
updated
doing
diet.
it on purpose, right?
I don't know that it's, well, because it doesn't have I don't know that it's on purpose. I feel like I'm confused by the choice to not make something on May the 4th. I think with the movie, it's because it is the first holiday of summer break.
Yeah.
So May
So it's a
27th, because it
good.
is Memorial Day weekend. So I think that has something to do with it. But I think it's just, and there was something out today that said summer for smugglers, because initially it was that weekend. And I'm wondering if it has been pushed back because May isn't summer. It depends on how you define summer.
Well, it's like the kickoff of summer Memorial
It,
Day weekend.
I mean, it is, but also summer starts officially in June. So it depends on what calendar you're going through for summer.
Yeah. Well, we shall see. So until next time, we're not the droids you're looking for.
But we're the droids you're gonna get.